On Veterans Day, we honor service members for their sacrifice, but often forget the battles they face when they return home. Missouri's veteran suicide rate is one of the highest in the country. WGEM's Missouri Capitol Bureau reporter Hannah Falcon looked into what the state does now to help those veterans who are fighting wars in their own minds.
Service members have stood watch over our liberties, often at great personal cost. They have left the comfort of their homes to face unknown dangers.
A wreath laid at the Memorial Student Union on the University of Missouri's campus honors Missourians who served in the armed forces this Veterans Day. Event speaker Colonel Lindsay Decker still serves with the Missouri Army National Guard.
It's so important, I think, to take just time to acknowledge the past, present, and future veterans' service. Acknowledge the role that they play in the protection of our freedom.
The hardships veterans face don't stop when they come home. 7 out of every 100 veterans experience post-traumatic stress disorder, and thousands of veterans die by suicide every year. Missouri has one of the highest veteran suicide rates in the country.
It's really important for veterans to take advantage of all of the different opportunities and support systems that are available to them.
This year, the governor signed a new law that hopes to decrease veteran suicides. It adds improving veterans' mental health as the fourth core mission of the Veterans Commission, opening the door for research and treatment.
Programs that support veterans are really important. Veterans have a lot of different needs, so I'm really proud of our state for promoting veterans programs and providing for our veterans.
In addition to state resources, veterans may find mental health help in other places. The University of Missouri offers counseling to veteran students.
Our mental health professionals that work here in our student mental health center go through training and kind of what's called Partners in Prevention and get some additional training to identify some of the different struggles that our service members may struggle with.
In addition to that bill, lawmakers also allocated $120,000 in the state budget this year to hire people for the Veterans Commission to help with veterans' mental health.